Macbeth by William Shakespeare, featuring Sojourner Hazelwood Connell, Lisa Hill Corley, and Jacqueline Costaillou.
Thrice the brinded cat hath mewed.
Thrice and once the hedge pig whined.
Harpier cries, "'Tis time, 'tis time!"
Round about the cauldron go, in the poison entrails throw, toad under that cold stone. Days and nights hath 31. Swelter venom in the sleeping gut, boil thou first in the charmed pot.
Double, double toil and trouble.
Fire burn and cauldron bubble.
Of a fenny snake in the cauldron boil and bake. Eye of newt of frog, wool of back and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind bone. Charm of powerful trouble like a hell broth boil and bubble.
Double, double toil and trouble.
Fire burn and cauldron bubble, scale of dragon, tooth of wolf, witch's mommy, maw gulf, of the raven sea salt shark, root of hemlock, digged in dog, liver of blaspheming Jew, gall of goat and slips of ewe, silvered in the moon's eclipse, nose of Turk and Tartar's lips, finger of birth-strangled babe, ditch delivered by a drape, make the gruel thick and slab, and there too a tiger's children, pour the ingredients of our cauldron.
Double, double toil and trouble.
Fire burn and cauldron bubble, cool it with a baboon's blood, then the charm is firm and good.
Speak.
Command.
Will answer.
Say, if thou'dst rather hear it from our mouths or from our masters. Pour in sow's blood that hath eaten her 9 Pharaoh. Grease that sweating from the murderers give it, throw into the flame.
High or low?
Thyself in office deftly show.
He knows thy thought. Hear his speech, but say thou not.
Macbeth, beware Macduff, beware the Thane of Fife. Dismiss me enough.
You will not be commanded. Here's another more potent than the first.
Macbeth, Macbeth, Macbeth. Had I 3 ears, I'd hear thee. Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Laugh to scorn. The power of man, for none of woman born, shall harm Macbeth.
Listen, but speak not to it.
Be lion-mettled, proud, take no care, for who chafes, who frets, or where conspirators are. Macbeth shall never vanquished be, till great burden to high Dunsinane Hill shall come against him.
Seek to know no more.
Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare.
Why now, blow wind, swell billow, and swim bark. The storm is up, and all is on the hazard. This is my birthday, as this very day was Cassius born. Be thou my witness, that against my will, as Pompey was, am I compelled to set upon one battle all our liberties. You know that I held Epicurus strong in his opinion. Now I do change my mind, and partly credit things that do presage. Coming into Sardis, on our former ensign, 2 mighty eagles fell, and there they perched, gorging and feeding from our soldiers' hands, who to Philippi here consorted us. This morning are they fled away and gone, and in their steads do ravens, crows, and kites fly o'er above our heads, and downward look on us as we were sickly prey. Their shadows seem a canopy most fatal, under which our army lies, ready to give up the ghost. Nay, I but believe it partly, for I am fresh of spirit, and resolved to meet all perils very constantly.
The White Devil by John Webster.
What have I gained by thee but infamy? Thou hast stained the spotless honour of my house, and frighted thence noble society, like those which sick of the palsy, and retain ill-scenting foxes about them, are still shunned by those of choicer nostrils. What do you call this house? Is this your palace? Did not the judge style it a house of penitent whores? Who sent me to it? Who hath the honour to advance Victoria to this incontinent college? It's not you. It's not your high preferment. Go. Go brag how many ladies you have undone like me. Fare you well, sir. Let me hear no more of you. I had a limb corrupted to an ulcer, but I have cut it off. And now I'll go. Weeping to heaven on crutches for your gifts, I will return them all. And I do wish that I could make you full executioner to all my sins. Oh, that I could toss myself into a grave as quickly, for all thou art worth. I'll not shed one tear more. I'll burst first.
Medea by Euripides.
God and God's justice, and ye blinding skies, at last the victory dawneth. Yea, mine eyes see, and my foot is on the mountain's brow. Mine enemies, oh now, atonement cometh! Here, at my worst hour, a friend is found, a very port of power, to save my shipwreck. Here will I make fast mine anchor, and escape them at the last, in Athens' walled hill. But ere the end, 'tis meet I show thee all my counsel, friend. Take it. No tale to make men laugh withal. Straightway to Jason I will send some thrall to entreat him to my presence. Comes he here, then with soft reasons will I feed his ear. How his will now is my will, how all things are well touching this marriage bed of kings for which I am betrayed. All wise and rare and profitable. Yet will I make one prayer, that my children be no more exiled, but stay. Oh, not that I would leave a child here upon angry shores till those who have laughed, who hate me, 'tis that I will slay by craft the king's daughter. With gifts they shall be sent, gifts to the bride to spare their banishment, fine robings, and a carcanet of gold, which raiment let her once but take and fold about her. A foul death, that girl shall die. and all who touch her in her agony. Such poison shall they drink, my robe and wreath. Howbeit, of that no more. I gnash my teeth, thinking on what a path my feet must tread thereafter. I shall lay those children dead, mine, whom no hand shall steal from me away. Then, leaving Jason childless, and the day as night above him, I will go my road to exile, flying, flying from the blood of these my best beloved, and having wrought all horror so, but one thing reach me not, the laugh of them who hate us. Let it come! What profits life to me? I have no home, no country now, nor shield from any wrong. That was my evil hour, when down the long halls of my father out I stole, my will chained by a Greek man's voice, who still, oh still, if God yet live, shall all requited be. For never child of mine shall Jason see hereafter living, never child beget from his new bride, who this day, desolate, even as she made me desolate, shall die, shrieking amid my poisons. Names have I among your folk, one light, one weak of hand, an eastern dreamer. Nay, but with the brand of strange sons burnt, my hate, by God above, as perilous thing and passing sweet, my love. For these it is that make life glorious.
Richard III, Act 3, Scene 4, by William Shakespeare.
So now, prosperity begins to mellow and drop into the rotten mouth of death. Here in these confines slyly have I lurked, to watch the waning of mine adversaries. A dire induction am I witness to, and will to France, hoping the consequence will prove as bitter, black, and tragical. Withdraw thee, wretched Margaret. Who comes here?
Oh, my young princes, oh, my tender babes, my unborn flowers, new appearing sweets. If yet you gentle souls fly into the air, and be not fixed in doom perpetual, hover about me with your airy wings, and hear your mother's lamentations.
Hover about her, say that right for right hath dimmed your infant morn to aged night.
So many miseries have crazed my voice, that my woe-wearied tongue is mute and dumb. Edward Plantagenet, why art thou dead?
Plantagenet doth quit Plantagenet, Edward for Edward pays a dying debt.
Wilt thou, O God, fly from such gentle lambs, and throw them in the entrails of the wolf? When didst thou sleep, when such a deed was done?
When holy Harry died, and my sweet son.
Blind sight, dead life, poor mortal living ghost. Woes seen, world shame, graves due by life usurped. Brief extract and record of tedious days. Rest on thy unrest in England's lawful earth, unlawfully made drunk with innocent's blood.
That thou wouldest as well afford a grave as thou canst yield a melancholy seat. Then would I hide my bones, not rest them here. Oh, who hath any cause to mourn but I?
If ancient sorrow be most reverend, give mine the benefit of seniority, and let my woes frown on the upper hand. If sorrow can admit society, tell o'er your woes again by viewing mine. I had an Edward, till a Richard killed him. I had a Harry, till a Richard killed him. Thou hadst an Edward, till a Richard killed him. Thou hadst a Richard, till a Richard killed him.
I had a Richard too, and thou didst kill him. I had a Rutland too, and thou helpst kill him.
Thou hadst a Clarence too, and Richard killed him. From forth the kennel of thy womb hath crept a hellhound that doth hunt us all to death. That dog that had his teeth before his eyes, to worry lambs and lap their gentle blood, that foul defacer of God's handiwork, that excellent grand tyrant of the earth, that reigns in galled eyes of weeping souls, thy womb let loose to chase us to our graves. Oh, upright, just, and true disposing God, how do I thank thee, that this carnal cur preys on the issue of his mother's body, and makes her pew-fellow with others' moan?
O Harry's wife, triumph not in my woes. God witness me, I have wept for thine.
Bear with me, I am hungry for revenge, and now I cloy me with beholding it. Thy Edward, he is dead, that stabbed my Edward. Thy other Edward dead to quit my Edward. Young York, he is but boot, because both they match not the high perfection of my loss. Thy Clarence, he is dead that killed my Edward, and the beholders of this tragic play, the adulterate Hastings, River, Vaughan, Grey, untimely smothered in their dusky graves. Richard yet lives! Hell's black intelligence, sir, only reserved their factor to buy souls and send them thither. But at hand, ensues his piteous and unpitied end. Earth gapes, hell burns, fiends roar, saints pray to have him suddenly conveyed away. Cancel his bond of life, dear God! Or I pray that I may live to say, the dog is dead.
Oh, thou didst prophesy this time would come, that I should wish for thee to help me curse that bottled spider, that foul bunched-backed toad.
I called thee then vain flourish of my fortune. I called thee then poor shadow painted queen, the presentation of but what I was, the flattering index of a direful pageant, one heaved a high, to be hurled down below. A mother, only mocked with two sweet babes, a dream of what thou wert, a breath, a bubble, a sign of dignity, a garish flag, to be the aim of every dangerous shot, a queen in jest, only to fill the scene. Where is thy husband now? Where be thy brothers? Where are thy children? Wherein dost thou joy? Who sues to thee and cries, God save the queen? Where be the bending peers that flattered thee? Where be the thronging troops that followed thee? Decline all this, and see what now thou art! For happy wife, a most distressed widow, for joyful mother, one that wails the name. For queen, a very caitiff crowned with care. For one being sued to, one that humbly sues. For me, for one that scorned at me, now scorned of me. For one being feared of all, now fearing one. For one commanding all, obeyed of none. Thus hath the course of justice wheeled about, and left thee but a very prey to time, having no more but thought of what thou wert, to torture thee the more, being what thou art. Thou didst usurp my place. And dost thou not usurp the just proportion of my sorrow? Now thy proud neck bears half my burthened yoke, from which even here I sleep my weary neck, and leave the burthen of it all on thee. Farewell, yoke's wife, and queen of sad mischance. These English roads will make me smile in France.
O thou well skilled in curses, stay a while, and teach me how to curse mine enemies.
Forbear to sleep the nights and fast the days. Compare dead happiness with living woe. Think thy babes were fairer than they were, and he that slew them fouler than he is. Bettering thy loss makes the bad cause a worse. Revolving this will teach thee how to curse.
My words are dull. Oh, quicken them with thine.
Thy woes will make them sharp and pierce like mine.
Why should calamity be so full of words?
Windy eternities to their client woes, airy succeeders of interstate joys, poor breathing orators of miseries. Let them have scope, though what they do impart help not all, yet do they ease the heart.
If so, then be not tongue-tied. Go with me, and be in the breath of bitter words. Let's smother my damned son, which thy too sweet son smothered. I hear his drum. Be copious in exclaims.
Two Noble Kinsmen by William Shakespeare.
Why should I love this gentleman? 'Tis odds he never will affect me. I am base, my father the innkeeper of his jail, and he a prince. To marry him is hopeless, to be his whore witless. Out upon what pushes are we wenches driven to when 15 once has found us? First I saw him, I seeing, thought he was a goodly man. He has much in him to please a woman, if he please bestow it, as any these eyes yet looked on. Next I pitied him, as would any young wench my conscience had ever dreamed or vowed her maidenhead to a handsome young man. Then I loved him, extremely loved him, infinitely loved him. And yet he had a cousin, fair as he too, but in my heart was Palamon, and there, oh Lord, what a coil he keeps! To hear him sing of an evening, what a heaven it is! And yet his songs are sad ones. Fairer spoken was never gentleman. When I come to bring him water of a morning, first he bows his noble body, then salutes me thus. Fair gentle maid, good morrow, may your goodness get thee a goodly husband. Once he kissed me. I loved my lips the more 10 days after. Would he would do so every day. He grieves much, and I as much to see his misery. What should I do to make him know I love him? For I would fain enjoy him. Say, I ventured to set him free. What says the law then? Thus, much for law or kindred, I shall do it. And this day or tomorrow, he shall love me.
Salome by Oscar Wilde.
Thou wouldst not suffer me to kiss thy mouth, Jokanan. Well, I will kiss it now. I will bite it with my teeth as one bites a ripe fruit. Yes, I will kiss thy mouth, Jokanan. Did I not say it? I said it. I will kiss it now. Oh. Mwah. But wherefore dost thou not look at me, Jokanan? Thine eyes that were so terrible, so full of rage and scorn, are shut now. Wherefore are they shut? Open thine eyes! Ah! Lift up thine eyelids, Jokanan. Wherefore dost thou not look at me? Art thou afraid of me? That thou wilt not look at me? And thy tongue, that was like a red snake darting poison, it moves no more. It says nothing now, Jokanan. That scarlet viper that spat its venom upon me. It is strange, is it not? How is it the red viper stirs no longer? Thou wouldst have none of me, Jokanan. Thou didst reject me. Thou didst speak evil words against me. Thou didst treat me as a harlot, as a wanton. Me, Salome, daughter of Herodias, princess of Judea. Well, Jokanon, I still live. But thou art dead, and thy head belongs to me. I can do with it what I will. I can throw it to the dogs and to the birds of the air. That which no dogs leave, the birds of the air shall devour. Jokanon, thou art the only man that I have loved. All other men are hateful to me, but thou art beautiful. Thy body was a column set of ivory on a silver socket. It was a garden full of doves and of silver lilies. It was a tower of silver decked with shields of ivory. There was nothing in the world so white as thy body. There was nothing in the world so black as thy hair. In the whole world, there was nothing so red as thy mouth. Thy voice was a censer that scattered strange perfumes, and when I looked on thee, I heard a strange music. Wherefore didst thou not look at me, Jokanon? Behind these hands and thy curses, thou didst hide thy face. Thou didst put upon thine eyes the covering of him who could see his God. Well, thou hast seen thy God, Jokanon. But me, thou didst never see. If thou hadst seen me, thou would have loved me. I saw thee, and I loved thee. Oh, how I love thee! I love thee yet! I love thee only. I am athirst for thy beauty, I am hungry for thy body, and neither wine nor fruits can appease my desire. What shall I do now, Jokanon? Neither the floods nor the great waters can quench my passion. I was a princess, and thou didst scorn me. I was a virgin, and thou didst take my virginity from me. I was chaste, and thou didst fill my veins with fire. Wherefore didst thou not look at me, Jokanon? If thou hadst looked at me, thou hadst loved me. Well, I know that thou would have loved me, and the mystery of love is greater than the mystery of death. Love only should one consider.
Henry IV, Part 2, Northumberland.
For this I shall have time enough to mourn. In poison there is physic, and these news, having been well and would have made me sick, being sick have in some measure made me well. Even so my limbs, weakened with grief, being now enraged with grief, are thrice themselves. Hence, therefore, nice crutch, a scaly gauntlet now with joints of steel must glove this hand, and hence thou sickly coif, thou art a guard too wanton for the head which princes fleshed with conquest aim to hit. Now bind my brows with iron, and approach the raggedest hour that time and spite dare bring to frown upon enraged Northumberland. Oh, let heaven kiss earth. Now let not nature's hand keep the wild flood confined. Let order die! And let this world no longer be a stage to feed contention in a lingering act. But let one spirit of the firstborn Cain reign in all bosoms, that each heart, being set on bloody courses, the rude scene may end, and darkness be the barrier of the dead.
Hamlet by William Shakespeare.
My honored lord!
My most dear lord.
Excellent good friends. How dost thou, Guildenstern? Ah, Rosencrantz. Good lads. How do you both?
As the indifferent children of the earth.
Happy in that we are not over happy. On fortune's cap, we are not the very button.
Bubbles, I've heard too.
Neither, my lord.
Then you live about her waist, or in the middle of her favours.
Faith, her privates are we.
Oh! The fortune! Oh, my true. She is a strumpet. What's the news?
None, my lord, but that the world's grown honest.
Then is doomsday near? But your news is not true. Let me question more in particular. What have you, my good friends, deserved at the hands of fortune that she sends you to prison hither?
Prison, my lord.
Denmark's a prison.
Then is the world one.
A goodly one in which there are many confines, wards, and dungeons. Denmark being one of the worst.
We think not so, my lord.
Why then, 'tis none to you, For there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. To me, it is a prison.
Why then, your ambition makes it one. 'Tis too narrow for your mind.
God, I could be bounded in a nutshell and count myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams.
Which dreams indeed are ambition, for the very substance of ambitions is merely the shadow of a dream.
Hmm.
Huh? Huh?
Truly. And I hold ambition of so airy and light a quality that it is but a shadow's shadow.
Then are our beggars' bodies, and our monarchs and our stretched heroes the beggars' shadows? Shall we to court? For by my fate I cannot reason.
We'll wait upon you.
No such matter. I will not sort you with the rest of my servants, for, to speak to you like an honest man, I am most dreadfully attended. But, in the beaten way of friendship, what make you an Elsinore?
To visit you, my lord, no other occasion.
Beggar that I am. I am even poor in thanks, but I thank you. And sure, dear friends, my thanks are too dearly a halfpenny. Were you not sent for? Is this your own inclining? Is it a free visitation? Come, you're justly with me. Come, nay, speak.
What should we say, my lord?
Why, anything but to the purpose. You were sent for, and there is a kind of confession in your looks, which your majesties have not craft enough to colour. I know the good king and queen have sent for you.
To what end, my lord?
That you must teach me.
Oh,
Let me conjure by you. By the rights of our fellowship, by the consonancy of our youth, by the obligation of our every preserved love, and by what more dear a better proposer could charge you withal, be even and direct with me, whether you are sent for or no.
What say you?
Nay, then, I have an eye for you. If you love me, hold not off.
my lord, we were sent for.
I will tell you why.
Oh.
So shall my anticipation prevent your discovery, and your secrecy to the king and queen molt no further. Late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth, gone all custom of exercise, and indeed it goes so heavily with my disposition that this goodly frame, the earth, seems to me a sterile promontory. This most excellent canopy, the air. Look you, this brave o'erhanging firmament, this majestical roof fettered with golden fire. Why, it appears no other thing to me than a foul and pestilent congregation of vapours. What a piece of work is a man! How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable in action, how like an angel in apprehension, how like a god in the world, a paragon of animals, and yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Mandelite's not me, nor woman neither. Seem to say so.
My lord, there was no such stuff in my thoughts.
No.
Laugh then, when I said Mandelite's not me.
There are the players.
You are welcome to Elsinore. Your hands come then. The aperturance of welcome is fashion and ceremony. Let me comply with you in this garb, lest my extent to the players, which, I tell you, must show fairly outward, should more appear like entertainment than yours. You are welcome, but my uncle, father, and aunt mother are deceived.
In what, my dear lord?
I am but mad northwest. When the wind is southerly, I know a hawk from a handsaw. Aha! Come! Some music! Come, the recorders! If the king like not the comedy, why then, belike, he likes it not. Paddy, come, some music!
Good my lord, vouchsafe me a word with you.
Sir, a whole history.
The king, sir,
Ay, sir, what of him?
in his retirement, marvellous distempered.
With drink, sir?
No, my lord, rather with colour.
Your wisdom should show itself more richer to signify this to his doctor. For me to put him to his purgatation would perhaps plunge him into far more choler.
Good my lord, put your discourse into some frame, and start not so wildly from my affair.
I am tame, sir. Pronounce.
The queen, your mother, in most great affliction of spirit, hath sent me to you.
You are welcome.
Nay, good my lord, the courtesy is not of the right breed. If it shall please you to make me a wholesome answer, I will do your mother's commandment. If not, your pardon and my return shall be the end of my business.
Sir, I cannot.
What, my lord?
Make you a wholesome answer. My wit's deceased, but, sir, such an answer as I can make you shall command, or rather, as you say, my mother, therefore no more. But to the matter, my mother, you say.
Then thus she says, your behavior hath struck her into amazement and admiration.
Wonderful son that can so astonish a mother. But is there no sequel at the heels of his mother's admiration? In part.
She desires to speak with you in her closet ere you go to bed.
We shall obey. Were she 10 times our mother, have you any further trade with us?
Oh. My lord, you once did love me.
So I do still, but these pickers and stealers.
Good my lord, what is your cause of distemper? You do surely bar the door upon your own liberty if you deny your griefs to your friend.
I lack advancement.
How could that be when you have the voice of the king himself for your succession in Denmark?
Oh, but sir, while the grass grows, the proverb is something musty. Oh, the recorders, let me see one. To withdraw with you? Why, do you go about to recover the wind of me as if you would drive me into a toil?
Oh, my lord, if my duty be too bold, my love is unmannerly.
I do not well understand that. Will you pay upon this pipe?
Oh, my lord, I cannot.
I pray you.
Oh, believe me, I cannot.
I beseech you.
I know no touch of it, my lord.
'Tis as easy as lying. Govern these ventages with your fingers and thumb. Give it breath with your mouth, and it will discourse most eloquent music. Look you. These are the stops.
These cannot command to any utterance of harmony. I have not the skill.
Why? Look you now, how unworthy a thing you make of me. You would play upon me. You would seem to know my stops. You would pluck out the heart of my mystery. You would sound me from my lowest note to the top of my compass.
But
And there is much music, excellent voice in this little organ, yet cannot you make it speak? Blood, do you think I am easier to be played on than a pipe? Call me what instrument you will, though you can fret me, yet you cannot play upon me.
Hamlet by William Shakespeare.
To be or not to be. That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing, end them. To die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietest make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of? Thus, conscience does make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with this regard their currents turn awry and lose the name of action. Soft, you know, fair Ophelia, nymph in thy horizons, be all my sins remembered.
Henry VI, Part 1.
First, let me tell you whom you have condemned. Not one begotten of a shepherd swain, but issued from the progeny of kings, virtuous and holy, chosen from above by inspiration of celestial grace to work exceeding miracles on earth. I never had to do with wicked spirits, but you that are polluted with your lusts, stained with the guiltless blood of innocence, corrupt and tainted with 1,000 vices, because you want the grace that others have. You judge it straight a thing impossible to compass wonders, but by help of devils. No, misconceived, Joan of Arc hath been a virgin from her tender infancy, chaste and immaculate in very thought, whose maiden blood this rigorously effused, will cry for vengeance at the gates of heaven!
Henry V by William Shakespeare.
Thus, with imagined wing, our swift scene flies in motion of no less celerity than that of thought. Now, suppose that you have seen the well-appointed king at Hampton Pier would embark his royalty and his brave fleet with young streamers, the young Phoebus fanning. Play with your fancies, and in them behold a cry on the inconstant billows dancing. For so appears this fleet majestical, holding due course to Harfleur. Follow, follow, grapple your minds to the sternage of this navy, and leave your England as dead as midnight still, guarded with grandsires, babies, old women, either past or not arrived to their pith and puissance. For who is he whose chin is not but enriched with one appearing hair, that will not follow these cold and choice-drawn cavaliers to France? Work your thoughts, and therein see a siege. Behold the ordinances on their carriages, with fatal mouths gaping towards Harfleur. Now, suppose the ambassador from the French comes back, tells Harry that the king doth offer him Catherine his daughter, and with her to dowry some petty and unprofitable dukedoms. The offer likes not, and the nimble gunner with linstock now the devilish cannon touches, and down goes all before them. Still, be kind, and eke out our performance with your mind.
Richard II by William Shakespeare.
But stay. Here come the gardeners. Let's step into the shadow of the trees. my wretchedness into a row of pins. They'll talk of state. For every one doth so against a change. Woe is forerun with woe.
Go thou and like an executioner, cut off the heads of 2 fast-growing sprays that look too lofty in our commonwealth. All must be even in our government. You thus employed, I will go root away the noisome weeds, which without profit suck the soil's fertility from wholesome flowers.
Why should we do in the compass of a pale keep law and form in due proportion, showing as in a model our firm estate, when our sea-walled garden, the whole land, is full of weeds, her fairest flowers choked up, her fruit trees all upturned, her hedges ruined, her knots disordered, and her wholesome herbs swarming with caterpillars?
Hold thy peace. He that hath suffered this disordered spring have now himself met with the fall of leaf. The weeds which his broad-spreading leaves did shelter did seem in eating to hold him up, and plucked up by the root, all by Bolingbroke. I mean the Earl of Wiltshire, Bushy, Green.
What? Are they dead?
They are, and Bolingbroke hath seized the wasteful king. What pity is it that he had not so trimmed and dressed his land as we this garden? I mean, we of time of year do wound the bark, the skin of our fruit trees, lest being overproud with sap and blood, with too much riches it confound itself. Now, had he done so to great and growing men, they might have lived to bear and he to taste their fruits of duty. I mean, the purpleless branches we lop away, that bearing boughs may live. Had he done so, himself had borne the crown, which waste of idle hours are quite thrown down.
What? Think you then the king shall be deposed?
Depressed he is already, and deposed 'tis doubt he will be. Letters came last night to a friend of the good Duke of York's that tell black tidings.
Oh, I am pressed to death through want of speaking. How dares sound this unpleasing news? What Eve, what serpent hath suggested thee to make a second fool of cursed man? Why dost thou say King Richard is deposed? Darest thou, little better thing than earth, divine his downfall? Say, where, when, and how camest thou by this ill tidings? Speak, thou wretch.
Pardon me, madam. Little joy have I to breathe this news, yet what I say is true. King Richard, he is in the mighty hold of Bolingbroke, their fortunes both are weighed. And your lord's scale is nothing but himself and some few vanities that make him light. But in the balance of great Bolingbroke, besides himself are all the English peers, and with that odd he weighs King Richard down. Post you to London, and you will find it so. I speak no more than everyone doth know.
Nimble mischance, that art so light a foot, doth not thy embassage belong to me, and am I last that knows it? Oh, thou thinkest to serve me last, that I may longest keep thy sorrow in my breast. Come, ladies, go to meet at London's London, king in woe. What, was I born to this? That my sad look should grace the triumph of great Bolingbroke. Gardner, for telling me these news of woe. Pray, God, the plants thou growest may never grow.
Poor queen. So that thy state might be no worse, I would my skill were subject to her curse. Here did she fall a tear. Here in this place I'll set a bank of rue, sour herb of grace. Rue, even for Ruth, here shortly shall be seen in the remembrance of a weeping queen.
Lord.
Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare.
Thou knowest the mask of night is on my face. Else would a maiden blush bepaint my cheek for that which thou hast heard me speak tonight. Fain would I dwell on form, fain deny what I have spoke, but farewell compliment. Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say I, and I will take thy word. Yet, if thou swearest thou may prove false, a lover's perjury, then say Jove laughs. Oh, gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or, if thou thinks I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and tell thee nay, so thou wilt woo. But else, not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayest think my haviour light. But trust me, gentlemen, I'll prove more true than those that have more cunning to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess, but that thou overhear'st ere I was ware my true love's passion. Therefore pardon me, and not impute this yielding to light love, which the dark night hath so discovered.
Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare.
Soft! What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. Oh, I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. A King and No King by Beaumont and Fletcher.
I must speak ere I die. Thou art false, false prince, I live to see it. Poor Spaconia lives to tell thee thou art false, and then no more. She lives to tell thee thou art more unconstant than all ill women ever were together. Thy faith as firm as raging overflows that no bank can command, and as lasting as boys' gay bubbles blown in the air and broke. The wind is fixed to thee. Thou art all that all good men must hate, and if thy store shall tell succeeding ages what thou wert, thou art let me spare in it, lest true lovers in pity of my wrongs burn thy black legend, and with their curses shake thy sleeping ashes. He is ashamed. At last, I have been too rugged. Sir, be pleased to think it was a fault of love, not malice, and do as I do. Forgive it, Prince. I do, and can forgive the greatest sins to me you can prevent. Pray, believe me.
Henry VI, Part 3, by William Shakespeare. Brother of Gloucester, at St. Albans Field this lady's husband, Sir Richard Grey, was slain. His lands then seized on by the Conqueror. Her suit is now to repossess those lands, which we in justice cannot well deny, because in quarrel of the House of York the worthy gentleman did lose his life.
Your Highness shall do well to grant her suit. It were dishonor to deny her.
It were no less. But yet I'll make a pause.
Yea, is it so? I see the lady hath a thing to grant, before the king will grant her humble suit. He knows the game, how true he keeps the wind.
Widow, we will consider of your suit, and come some other time to know our mind.
Right, gracious lord. I cannot brook delay. May it please your highness to resolve me now, and what your pleasure is shall satisfy me.
Ay, widow, then I'll warrant you all your lands, and what pleases him shall pleasure you. Fight closer, or in good faith you'll catch a blow. Fear her not, yes she chance to fail. God forbid that, for he'll take vantages.
How many children hast thou, widow? Tell me.
He means to beg a child of her. Nay, whip me, he'd rather give her two.
3, my most gracious lord.
Shall have 4 if he be ruled by him.
'Twere pity they should lose their father's lands.
Be pitiful dread, lord, and grant it then.
Lords, give us leave. I'll try this widow's wit.
Ay, good leave have you, for you will have leave, till youth take leave and leave you to the crutch.
Now tell me, madam, do you love your children?
Aye, full as dearly as I love myself.
And would you not do much to do them good?
To do them good, I would sustain some harm.
Then get your husband's lands to do them good.
Therefore I came unto your majesty.
I'll tell you how these lands are to be got.
So shall you bind me to your highness's service?
What service wilt thou do me if I give them?
What you command, that rests in me to do.
But you will take exceptions to my boon?
No, gracious lord, except I cannot do it.
Aye, but thou canst do what I mean to ask.
Why? Then I will do what your grace commands.
Flies are hard, and much rain wears the marble, as red as fire, nay, that her wax must melt.
Why stops my lord? Shall I not hear my task?
An easy task. 'Tis but to love a king.
That's soon performed, because I am a subject.
Why then, thy husband's lands I freely give thee.
I take my leave, with many thousand thanks.
The match is made. She sends it with a curtsy.
Oh, but stay thee! 'Tis the fruits of love, I mean.
Fruits of love, I mean. My loving liege.
Aye, but I fear me, in another sense. What love thinkest thou I sue so much to get?
My love till death, my humble thanks, my prayers. That love which virtue begs and virtue grants.
No, by my troth, I did not mean such love.
Why, then you mean not as I thought you did.
But now you partly may perceive my mind.
My mind will never grant what I perceive. Your highness aims at, if I aim right.
To tell thee plain, I aim to lie with thee.
To tell you plain, I had rather lie in prison.
Why, then thou shalt not have thy husband's lands.
Why, then, mine honesty shall be my dower, for by that loss I will not purchase them.
Therein thou wrongest thy children mightily.
Herein your highness wrongs both them and me. But, mighty lord, this merry collation accords not with the sadness of my suit. Please you, dismiss me either with aye or nay.
Aye, if thou wilt say aye to my request. No, if thou dost say no to my demand.
Then no, my lord, my suit is at an end.
The widow likes him not. She knits her brows. He is the bluntest wooer in Christendom.
Her looks do argue her replete with modesty, her words do show her wit incomparable, all her perfections challenge sovereignty. One way or other, she is for a king, and she shall be my love, or else my queen. Say that King Edward take thee for his queen.
'Tis better said than done, my gracious lord. I am a subject fit to jest with all, but far unfit to be a sovereign.
Sweet widow, by my state I swear to thee, I speak no more than what my soul intends, and that is to enjoy thee for my love.
And that is more than I will yield unto. I know I am too mean to be your queen, and yet too good to be your concubine.
You cavil widow, I did mean my queen.
'Twill grieve your grace my son should call you father.
No more than when my daughters call thee mother. Thou art a widow, and thou hast some children, and by God's mother, I, being but a bachelor, have other some. Why, 'tis a happy thing to be the father unto many sons. Answer no more, for thou shalt be my queen.
Ghostly father now hath done his shrift.
Brother, you muse what chat we two have had.
The widow likes it not, for she looks very sad.
You'll think it strange if I should marry her.
To whom, my lord?
Why, Gloucester to myself.
That would be 10 days' wonder at the least. By so much the wonder in extremes.
Well, jest on, brother. I can tell you that her suit is granted for her husband's lands.
My gracious lord, Henry your foe is taken and brought your prisoner to the palace gate.
See that he be conveyed unto the tower. And go we, brothers, to the man that took him to question of his apprehension. Widow, go you along. Lords, use her honorably.